pace out.
And Richmond have to compete in the midfield, the Tigers. They've got to stop the supply going down to those big forwards, but that's where the game we won, right in that midfield.
And Stevie Baker got the job today on Hislop. And just giving a bit of how do you do, young rants for the Tigers. We get ready for this one, the round 13 clash.
Jones on Cousins.
In the middle, doing the ruck work. Angus Graham was able to work it down and tuck immediately out of the middle for the Tigers to the vacant half-forward line, and making some ground is Richmond's Rewalt, but Graham needs to find some form. Graham had some issues this year. Goddard, Hayes, through a bit of traffic here now. Richmond, Foley, neat pass, Vickery, high, couldn't hold it. It was really well defended by Hudson, not to knock the arms.
Couple of jumper punches behind play, Montagna and Daniel Jackson.
That's a little angry the game at the moment. Here's Tambling, who's had some recent good form. The skipper Newman around the corner with a nice ball. Graham.
Nice sharp start by the Tigers. Good forward pressure, good midfield pressure, getting the ball back off the Saints.
Angus Graham puts it to the hot spot. Rewalt's got to come from a couple deep. Got the hands on it. Cousins passed the ball. An opportunity here for Richmond to tidy up. Jackson out wide. The standing shot at goal. Good purchase on it. Missed it to the right.
A good start by Jackson, and trying to get into Montagna's head with the push and shove early in the game, and then getting an early possession. That's what a tagger needs to do to try and make the attacking player more accountable for his actions.
Richmond, the #1 hardball team in the competition, so we're going to enjoy that clash with St Kilda, who we know are hard-nosed in every facet of the game.
And Jade Rawlings putting a lot of emphasis on what they do off the ball for the Richmond players, which is already picked up early on this game.
Fisher trying to work it forward. Goddard was clean at ground level, but this lot all over him the moment he'd picked the ball up. This is a good start from the Tigers, one full of energy and defensive commitment so far. As Polo working from defence, more with a nice chiselling ball. Newman, who's very skillful on the left boot. This is low and hard. It's a good ball to Rewalt.
Yeah, it was a good ball indeed, and what we didn't see was Jared Sylvester. He didn't quite pick up that his skipper Newman is a left footer and was going to break to the other side, but what he did do was provide a huge option, and he has taken Kazitsky the full length of the ground. This is a great kick.
Great kick by Newman, and Newman, a lot of heart and soul for Richmond Cricket Club, wears his passion on his sleeve, and you know, the interesting discussion with the former coach a few weeks before he went, and just shows how much passion Newman has for his club.
Jack Rewalt, 13 goals in his 10 games this year. There's the confronting task, kick on the way, and just offline in the end. Not happy with his efforts there.
You've got to be impressed with the start, Jared. They're up and about, the Tigers.
I was just really impressed with the run-off defence. Jared Sylvester, haven't seen him yet, but if he's prepared to run as he just did, then he's going to make life difficult for the forwards.
Del Santo with a lovely weighted kick to Farron Ray. Tough job kicking in from fullback. He makes it look effortless, but a really nerve-wracking job you'd get given, James, kicking in from fullback.
It was never given to me, BT.
Lenny Hayes from the outer wing here, working back nicely. Was Polo without fear of injuring his body at all. McWalter was sharp, wasn't he? Here's Clint Jones, just missed a similar kick to what we saw Newman make. First field, boundary line is his best friend in that situation.
And it's one area of Jones's game that he does need to improve, and occasionally just gets that kick wrong and tries so hard and does a great job defensively that if he can get that right, he'll lift his status in the game.
And Nick Rewalt, not all that flash after that first contest. He got trunched in that marking duel.
Graham took it out of the ruck, and Gardner couldn't lay a tackle on him, so he wasn't penalised. A nice edging kick around the corner for the Tigers. Let's have a look at that bump that you mentioned with Rewalt, Jared.
Well, it was a big clash, eyes for the ball, and when your arms are extended, your rib cage is exposed. At risk and exposed, and he copped one there right in the guts.
And he certainly did. No other way to describe it. Here's the Tigers' Foley, who's always a quick-thinking player here along the ground. And
nice work.
It was by Dawson, but couldn't be capitalised on by Goddard. Here's Deledio thinking his way through traffic, and he had really cool hands, didn't he? Foley's evasive skills were excellent, and the kick was great. And here's Morton. Sold it one way, went back on his favoured right boot and put it to Rewalt in the hot spot, and that's a lovely kick and an equally good mark.
Well, it's just been superb this first 3 minutes by the Tigers. They're not playing against a side at the bottom of the ladder. They look like they're A very competent side right now. They're sharp, their kicking efficiency excellent, their pressure skills excellent, and this was a good grab, and this one Rewald just has to kick.
And the play by Delidio up on the wing just to get the ball with confidence, and on paper the Tigers look very good and have started very well today.
This would be a missed opportunity early in this game for the Tigers. They weren't able to score a goal out of this one. Rewalt, you can see it's a pretty easy shot, and he's able to kick it, so the Tigers get there first, and they're full of energy here today.
We talk about, Jerry, when a side comes off a break and they've had a great start to the year, sometimes they start slowly, but I don't think that's the case. I think the way the Tigers have started is all about them. They're up and about, they're showing that they're a team, and there's a bit of a wrestle on the middle of the ground. The Tigers aren't going to take this game on light. You've seen Morton the way he ducks one way, ducks the other, puts it to the hot spot with a great kick. But this fracas in the middle of the ground, Jared, has certainly got some spite to it.
Yeah, there was plenty of pushing and shoving. I think the worst we saw were a few jumper punches, but when you look at Foley, Tamling, Cousins, Jackson, Cochin, Delidio, Oakley Nichols in for Collins, Tuck as well.
Tommy Hislop there, played a few years with Tommy at Essendon, Jared, and doesn't take a backward step. Certainly ruffled a few feathers at training a number of times.
We've targeted him today, James. I noticed Baker was into him early in the game. I don't know why that would be.
If it started, I'm sure Tommy started it, knowing him pretty well.
Sounds like he might be able to finish it as well. There is the man we speak of. Tommy
and Colby Nahas quickly onto the ground.
Yeah, he came on for Tyrone Vickery, so gone tall for small.
What Hislop's trying to do is tag Fisher and make sure that Fisher isn't running off the back line. That's why Baker's into him, to try and protect his player in Fisher.
It's a move that I think was used really well last time St Kilda played Carlton. Ryan Houlihan did a similar thing, and I think Sam Fisher now is regarded as a midfielder and he's going to get similar tactics.
Daniel Jackson with the free. You can hear the umpire in the background saying he is held off the ball. Horrible looking kick forward from Jackson. Went out to a 1-on-4 in favour of the Saints, and Rewalt just kept it alive and locked it inside forward 50. Good result in the end for the Tigers.
Yeah, it was a mongrel of the highest order, but the result not too bad.
The game with the roof on is a much quicker game, isn't it? The game has just got the speed about it, and Richmond have the tempo at the moment to be ahead of St Kilda.
Reasonably dialed in just as we speak, and there's an opportunity for Milne and Montagna, a couple of their ball magnets, and Montagna rounding out. They like him getting on the end of forward thrust by foot. There's Milne in the corridor, Tambling, hones in on him, goes straight at the hips. It was a good effort, couldn't stick the tackle. Ray, wide, Kazitsky, there's young Hislop with him, will make him earn it.
That's the difference.
He'd be happy with that result.
The difference, BT, between a very good team and a team that's not quite there. That Tambling tackle, if that gets stuck in the 50-metre line, the ball is not moving into St Kilda's forward line, and Richmond players have to stick those tackles.
Here's Tuck. A handball that was quite deliberate, well-intentioned. Newman.
Got to be careful if the Tigers are going to push players up the ground as they did there. They just can't blaze away into a defence pack with St Kilda players.
Aaron Ray under the pump. Cousins did well to smother. Nahas picks it up within range. Could have gone for home. Went the short kick. Did it travel the journey? Umpire said yes, and Cousins has taken the mark.
Terrific pressure on the forward 50 to stop St Kilda working it out. Farron Ray's handball was blocked, and Nahas able to grab on the loose ball, and a nice little pass to Cousins when most of us probably would have gone for goal, BT.
Gee, just got the journey as well, but yeah, he was fronted up to the goal and had plenty of time, but in the end he found Cousins, so it's a good result. Cousins almost directly in front. Richmond off to a fast start.
It was a smart kick by Nahas. Probably didn't travel a 15, or if it did, only just. But I don't know about you, Jared, but the Tigers are very impressive at this stage of the game.
Well, Nahas is going to learn one thing, and that is that these are shots at goal, BT. They're not to be given away lightly. Yes. little shots like that.
There's three forwards up here. They don't get away. Colby, would you have passed that one?
Definitely had a shot, boys. But the Nahas one's interesting because Jason Blake was Vickery's matchup, and they brought Nahas on, the little fella, and certainly working for Richmond already.
Ben Cousins involved in the defensive turnover and then also the finish in terms of goal. So a good start for him. Ross Lyon working overtime early in this one because they virtually haven't had it inside their forward 50 at the moment. The Saints maybe once or twice, but without great fluency. Ball goes in, bad bounce.
There's the extra man, as you can see, for the Tigers.
Schneider, Tuck, gave it to a man that was under pressure, and now he's copping some pressure as well. Look at that effort by Polo to bore in. Too high. Such was the exuberance to win the ball. Unlucky from Polo, I thought.
Max Hudson is a spare man in defence at the present time for the Saints, because Richmond at each and every centre bounce are trying to just bolster their defence. They've got inexperienced players on Rewald and Kazitsky.
Blood rule here from Montagna, Jared.
So he'll come from the ground. I wonder how he got that blood rule.
Jackson's following him all the way, Jared, if that gives you any indication. And he's got a cut above the right eye. And a bit of how do you do, Lee Colbert, as they came from the ground.
Yeah, you're not wrong there. Baker went to Jackson, and then also Graham gave him a bit of a working over as well. So they're trying to protect Montagna.
There's Goddard, a capable kicker of the ball, that is for sure. A high launching ball, Cozzy's under it. A few deep, but a lovely mark over the top taken by the Saints Gardner. Superb grab.
That was impressive.
That was Gardner of 5 years ago, wasn't it, Jared? The way he took that mark, commanded the space around the ball and just crashed the pack. It was a terrific mark, and he had to look twice to see who it was. He hasn't taken a mark like that for a few years.
No, that's his best pack mark, contested mark for a long, long time. Needs to go back now and finish it just to complete the task. But
his 150th game today, Michael Gardner. Comes in from about 25 metres out, kicks out to the right-hand side, hits the post. A bad miss in the end. But he is playing some really good football, revitalised, rejuvenated. I thought his career was nearly finished when he left the Eagles.
I don't think you're only one, BT. I think a lot of people thought it was all gone for him, and he's decided football's more important than a very important part of his life, and is playing accordingly.
Told to play on as Newman, didn't panic. Although the kick wasn't fantastic. Hayes the give and go here. Opportunity, Del Santo caught on his wrong side. A dangerous ball into the goal square. You can see the Tigers miss it. Milne to Rewalt looking for something to front the goal. Handball back to Kazitsky under the pump. Richmond pressure skills good. Rewalt rounds it up, puts it into the hot spot. Got some numbers here, the Saints. Jones, Fisher, Hudson wide. They've got hold of it. Here's Oakley Nichols. The inclusion in the side today. Through some traffic with good skill. I tell you what, the Tigers are switched on in this one today. Hislop, corralled by Geary. Now they're under the pump, the Tigers. They need to go forward. Heard the umpire's call, so Fisher's got to get rid of it. Brilliantly worked through traffic. Here's Stevie Baker. Lovely kick by Baker for Kazitsky. 2 hands on it. Couldn't finish. Polo with some real urgency about his play. And the Tigers in numbers, Deledio and Newman combining.
I reckon Terry Wallace is watching this game going, why couldn't they play this way? For me, it's a different Richmond that we've seen most of the year, up and about and having a real crack at the game.
Nahas sees something wide in Vickery. He marks. Now, can the Tigers finish? Their good work. Vickery goes in. Rewalt jumps from the back and takes the mark.
Well, it's been a blitz, hasn't it? Their work rate has been quite superb. They're starting with extra numbers back. And whilst St Kilda had a fair bit of the footy, they always had numbers up there in their forward 50, and they were exposed to the turnover. And they've exploited it pretty well. Jack Rewald to kick his second. He's already had one other shot. Could have started with 3.
1 goal, 1 Jared. In he comes and just didn't get through it. Laid off the ball and lent it out to the right-hand side. And that's a couple of bad misses, that one in particular. Let's have a look at the replay.
At the other end of the ground, Del Santo just trying to sell the dummy. But Polo was smart enough to just corral him, knowing exactly what he was trying to do.
Here's Hayes. Ball. Aaron Ray's already had 5. The leading possession getter on the ground for St Kilda, and Tuck's had 7. Hudson, the general. I'd be glad to have him back in the side. Gilbert. Milne. St Kilda supporters in the background a little concerned. Milne a driving ball, but Thursfield gets back to make it a 2-on-1.
And that's what they're doing, BT. They're getting back into that second line of defence really, really well, pushing back and stopping Kazitsky's and Rewalt's run at the ball and really stopping their attacking forward line pressure.
Good vibe about this game. If you're a Tiger supporter, that's a Rewalt free hand in the back from Geary.
Well, he started brilliantly, Rewalt, except for the conversion.
Where you are. Wait for the call.
A couple of shots, in particular the last one, unforgivable miss.
Rewalt to the boundary line with a high ball. Good luck getting on the end of that. Fisher defensively to the boundary.
Well, the issue here now, Ernie, is work rate. Whether or not this is just 15 minutes of their absolute very best, or whether they can maintain this as some sort of an average. Because if they can win the game.
Well, with this sort of pressure, they've got to put the score on the board, and that miss by Rewalt will hurt them. I mean, you can get 20, 25 points in front, you can start to do other things with the team. But it's interesting now for St Kilda. They haven't been challenged like this too often in the year, and whether they're able to absorb this pressure and then go again the second half of the quarter.
At the other end of the ground, you've got Nick Rewalt with McGuan behind and Kelvin Moore in front, as you can see.
The expert voices of Gerard Healy and James Hurd. An opportunity, Deledio, a bit of a fresh, airy, difficult one. Ball, Cochin, Geary. Richmond desperate and frenetic to win the ball at the moment. Tambling around the corner, keeps it alive. Got it into a dangerous spot, but the Saints have got back Dawson.
This is where they're dangerous, the Saints. They break out quickly. Got Graham in the middle of the ground that can go pretty much all the way.
Got Farron Ray and running support, James. And it'll be the 1-2 back to Graham. He's a penetrating kick and run. He can go the journey from there with a low ball. Rewalt's got to beat a couple once again, the 2-on-1. Well done, McGuan and Moore.
Bertie, what would you do? Would you put an extra defender down there or an extra forward to max them up? Because that is killing the Saints at the present time. They're so Rewalt focused, it's a 2-on-1.
Yeah, I think if Graham had used the ball a bit better and even gone for goal there, I'd back the St Kilda backline. They're so attacking, they're so good with their hands on the ball, that if you leave St Kilda with a spare player back there, then they're going to carve you up. Now, they haven't so far, but you have to think over the whole game they'll come out on top of that contest.
Vickery and McAvoy, the two young ruckmen for their respective sides.
I think maybe they've got to focus on Kazitsky, because Kelvin Moore is very focused on Rewalt. They've pushed Rewalt to a goal square now, which means Cozzy now is at centre half.
Lee just saw some pictures of Tambling. Is he okay?
He seems to be okay. He's remonstrating with or putting his hand up with the trainer, but look, I think he's all right.
What the Richmond forward line are doing very well is they're leaving the least dangerous player free. So Dawson is free at the moment, who probably hasn't got the skills of a Fisher or one of those guys, and that's what they need to do, get that player loose so he's less attacking than the other guys.
Jackson peeling for the free, not on. Snyder, change of hair colour for him. Here's Hayes. Low ball. Rewalt needed to get the Dukes out in front rather than the breadbasket chest mark. Edwards with the kick wide. Good ball. Cousins able to gather. He was cool. Efficient Oakley. Nichols now needs a finish. In the middle, not a great ball. Hislop did well. Tuck did extremely well to crash through. Edwards wanted to give and go, but Hislop said no. Too hard for me to thread that needle. Thursfield probably didn't need to go back. He'd already beaten the traffic. Now Moore to Rewalt of Richmond. And Rewalt's free. The advantage paid here. Oakley Nestles out of the loop. Goes long, looking for and finding Foley. Didn't quite claim it. Probably could have gone a little harder at the ball in the air then, Foley.
Yeah, I think he's second grab there, BT. You see just one hand there where, had he got the two, it would have been very interesting, and a nice shot from the forward pocket if he could have held on to that mark.
So, can you believe it? We've played almost 20 minutes in this first quarter, and the Saints have not kicked a goal.
And Tuck's had 9 possessions. He's got the job on Lenny Hayes, but his handball in traffic only a minute or so ago was quite superb, and he's had a good start to the match.
See his ears filled with cotton wool, burst an eardrum. Needs an operation at the end of the year to fix that. And your own teammate, as the umpire said, as Blake came through, and the hip and shoulder was beautiful against his teammate. And Baker says, "Come on, mate, I'll help you get up because you got me."
Stevie Baker doesn't take a backward step against anyone, does he? And straight back up after that fierce bump.
Sign of a committed team man, that when you're on the end of that, you help the bloke up that gave it to you.
Yeah.
I'd be having a few words, probably. McAvoy was set up on by a vicious and aggressive Tuck.
A good sign for Richmond too is winning the contested possession 23-15 and the tackles 14-11. You win those two stats and you normally end up in front. If you dispose of your kicking efficiency is pretty good. Both sides are not kicking the ball that well so far.
Graham. Brown. A lot of space out wide. All the players were parked around the near perimeter of the ball. Snyder thought about giving it, then realised it was a Richmond player that he would have been giving it to. Montagne's back on after the blood rule. Snyder cool wide, Rewalt. Graham, in fact. But they'll come back. Let's have a listen to the umpire.
Chris Newman now the spare man in defence for the Tigers, which is damaging, dangerous also because he's such a creative and accurate kick.
Umpire Chris Cameron's there with his other mates today, Stephen Grant and Michael Avon, just telling Daniel Jackson to go the ball, mate. Here's Geary, got some space. He's a good-looking hoiker of the ball. Wanted the handball over the top to Baker. I'm not sure that was ever on, trying to create something out of nothing, but Stevie Baker trying to make amends now. Lucky not to be penalised.
Wanted his right foot beat, so he didn't back himself on the left and had to cut back in. If he had been able to use his left foot and go around Jared, as you keep saying, both feet is what you need even in AFL football.
Goddard. The ball high out of the tackler's way. Throw. It was, and the umpire saw it. Good call by the umpire. And Del Santo, the recipient of this. Dangerous from this position, Del Santo can find the loose man. Short one, still not in attacking range. Geary to Goddard. Goddard out to Kaczynski, can jump at this. Got a little under the ball, Jackson to tidy up. Handball to Thursfield, who was always under the pump. The young fella, Sylvester, tidied up to Jackson. It's a risky kick, but Jackson made it work to Hislop.
They are taking some risks, BT, with those sort of kicks, but you know, you've got to take those risks to be successful, and they're coming off at the moment. Richmond going direct down the middle and moving the ball very quickly, working for them well.
Like Daniel Jackson's game, he's in the face of his opponent. He's not taking a backward step. In fact, he's serving it up to a few of the St Kilda players.
Tambling back on, boys. He's just come off the bench. He's okay.
He'll get a touch here too.
Here's the young fella, Sylvester, tucked on the boundary line, presents up to Ledio. A bit of stop-start football here at the moment from the Tigers. Not a lot of movement just in front of the ball. They're all pretty stagnant at the moment. And Delidio goes the long ball. Here comes Graham over the top. Never got near the contest. Dawson.
Well, it's a couple now that Graham has just missed completely. He has got to get involved in that and bring it to the ground.
Fisher. And with some 21-22 minutes played, surely the Saints have gone goalless in the first quarter this year. Perhaps last year was a possibility, but certainly not this year. They've been in very good form, so this would be a great feat from the Tigers if they can keep them without the major. Del Santo centering ball in front. Nice safe mark taken, so the Tigers doing a good job at the moment.
Kaczynski's timing, Jared, just looks a little bit off. He's gone under the ball. That one didn't quite come at the ball at the right time. Big guys sometimes in games do take a little bit to get their timing in the game, but just a little bit off at the moment.
Impressive start from Jared Sylvester.
I was going to say, he just looks incredibly comfortable.
He looks happy.
And mature.
Yep.
And he just looks like there's no issue at this level for him.
He looks like a big defender that Richmond have been looking for about a decade.
How does he just pop out of nowhere? Hunt for those. He's got a bit of a Kepler Bradley look about him in terms of hair. It's starting to diminish. And size, of course. Pack flies, no winner there. Baker. Foley with superior pace. Good handball. Richmond got a bit of an open space territory here. Morton, couple of casual bounces. Inside's got to be a driller. Missed Tambling. Here's Nahas. He's dangerous. Morton on the end on the non-preferred left side. Didn't have the carry.
On the foresight, in the end, Morton missed a couple of players, including Delidio, who was there. He was a little bit pumped up, but there's another opportunity missing.
A stretcher case here. This is Max Hudson. This would be a tragedy and not good. Perhaps Achilles issue with Hudson now. If this is a serious injury, this could well be the end of Hudson's career. They're asking for the stretcher to come on to stop the game. And stretcher is on the ground, so they're going to stop the play here now. This looks serious. Hudson, lower leg, possibly Achilles. If it were, it would be career over.
Yeah, he's grabbing the Achilles, and one can only think that maybe he snapped that Achilles with that big jump.
Well, it's more his ankle seemed to go under his backside when he landed.
Well, let's hope it is.
Anyways, that'll be good news.
Yeah.
Yep. I can't quite see it from that angle, but saw what James was talking about. And Max Hudson, no fuss, almost jumped onto the stretcher, but he is in some serious pain. Let's go down to Lee Colbert.
Absolutely right, James. Pretty sure it's his ankle. Waved to the doctors straight away, so in a lot of pain. And unlike Max being 20 metres away from the boundary line, that he calls for the stretcher himself, so he's in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, that's right, Colby. If he could get off from 20 metres away, he would have, wouldn't he?
Absolutely. Knowing Max, he would have limped off, but he's in a lot of pain and a lot of trouble, I think.
Jared, your thoughts on that one?
Well, I think he just saw his right foot get caught underneath and really hyperextended that ankle.
That could be a good result in the end.
Well, if it's Achilles, BT, as you said, and clearly I don't think it is. If it was the Achilles, his career would be over, but that could be just a major sprain, which he may spend a month on the boundary.
More like the front part of the ankle, didn't it, as Foley with the ball inboard. Not great, but the bounce doesn't favour the Saints. Gilbert now, a bit of the don't argue on young Vickery. Dawson under some pressure here at the moment. The Saints haven't had a goalless first quarter this year, and I can tell you that with 2 minutes left, things aren't looking all that good for them. Here's Rewalt. Low-scoring first quarter, though, in their favour. Milne.
What Richmond are doing is forcing them to go wide with that extra man back. They're making them go around the boundary more than perhaps St Kilda would like.
The extra man down there at the moment more, but they're not going to need him on this occasion. Here's Edwards, sees something out of the corner of the eye at the last moment. It's a beautifully weighted kick. Rance gets onto it. Couldn't beat him in a foot race, though, and that is gone.
Been really impressed with the defensive running, Hurdy, of the midfield and, of course, the forwards for Richmond. They have, when they've lost the footy, they have just charged into defence. Clearly, as you said, they're trying to block up the middle one-third of the ground, which is forcing St Kilda wide. And when there's a turnover, they're just coming through like a wave of rugby union players.
Yeah, playing to the coach's instructions very, very well. Unfortunately, when they're going forward, they've messed it up a couple of times. But, they're in front, and they will be in front at quarter time, so the tactics definitely work. Cozzy just looks a little bit off today. His hands aren't quite getting there, and his body's just not in the right position when the ball's coming towards him.
Well, the Saints under enormous pressure at the moment, trying to work their way through some traffic. Here's Snyder. A little ball forward. Rewalt on the lead. Got both hands on it. McGuan did well. And I think, not sure there was much in that from Dean Polo, but that should be a reversal, because really what Rewalt did was no different to what Polo did. Now the push after when Rewalt gets back to his feet is no different.
No, there's nothing in that. Hit him in the chest, Jared.
Yeah, it didn't look like too much in it to me, but right now the Tigers, they're happy with their lead, but they are killing St Kilda at the present time.
They are, especially in this part of the ground. St Kilda don't have a way through the Tigers, but there's a way through, and Goddard with his kicking skills, this isn't too tough a shot for Brendan Goddard.
Well, this is going to be their last chance to avoid the goalless quarter. The boot of Goddard here.
You're pretty keen on that goalless quarter.
Well, I am, because when you consider that they are a great defensive side, probably the number one defensive side in the competition, Jared, and you've got a bottom side like Richmond taking them on, it's a great feat, so I am keen on it. You're quite right. And that's not going to be a goal, so I'm going to continue the march towards that goalless quarter.
I'm pleased he missed for that very reason.
You got your way, BT.
Well,
how much do you have on a goalless quarter?
With 3 seconds left, I'm looking good at TAB Sportsbet. Coaches decide they've had enough. They're coming down to ground level. And a spirited quarter from the Tigers, although they didn't capitalise on the scoreboard like they could have.
They didn't, but I reckon they've done something even more important. They've just got in the skin of St Kilda, and you saw Rewald's reaction was very unlike Nick Rewald. Saints have lost more than just on the scoreboard in this first quarter.
Ankle injury carried off in a stretcher. Colby.
No update as yet, BT. They've taken him straight to the rooms. He's behind closed doors with a club doctor. But I'll get word during this quarter and find out exactly what the news is with Max.
A couple of winners for the Saints. Clint Jones has done a great job early on Ben Cousins. He's now on Trent Cotchin. And Farron Ray also doing well on his wing.
Start of the second quarter. Graham did well to keep Gardner out of the aerial contest there, and Delidio tidies up. Edwards not such a great kick. Bit up-ish and against Oakley Nichols in the end. With St Kilda free on the wing.
And this is where Richmond just flood back, just push all their players back and help out against the two tall St Kilda targets.
So the Saints go forward. Here's Kazitsky.
So they've had 10 minutes to talk about it, or 7 minutes to talk about it. And clearly the long bomb into that congestion has been outlawed by the coach, and he wants them to go to the fat side, get it across the ground, switch it and get some space.
What do you think, BT? Is he a chance? He's an excellent kick, Kaczynski.
I reckon the journey here is a big chance. He is a thumping kick of the ball. Gets great altitude. As you can see there, it's all about accuracy, though. That one just offline, but not a bad effort from there.
Yeah, you're right, Jared. They've got to go around that congestion of players that are up and down the middle of the ground and hit that fat side. It's easier to talk about it and hard to do in practice, but in that occasion they were able to get around the congestion and open this play up for Kaczynski to have a shot at goal.
A lot of advice coming from the Hughes Scott in the back there for Chris Newman to kick this ball in. Not sure that he needs it. He's done pretty well and will continue to do so. There's Fisher. Under some pressure, Baker likewise. Did well to conjure a handball to Jones in the end. Montagna had a blood rule episode in the first quarter. Goddard was really quick thinking, wasn't it? Graham with a lovely foot pass out wide to Snyder.
Once again, good pressure by Richmond, holding up.
And cutting off the corridor kicks. There he's manned him on the mark.
Yep.
Trying to cut that corridor kick off. Let them kick it wide if they want to kick it. Here's Baker. Now Dawson. Gilbert reloads. Penetrating kick and runner on that left. Goes the short ball, Fisher.
But then it's his next kick, BT. There's no gaps, no space available, and to be very smart to keep working it around until they can find a hole and a way through the defensive congestion.
Every Richmond player forward of the ball.
Well, forget a wide shot here, and there's a great shot of what confronts a kicker, and that's really hard work trying to find out a neat foot pass through that traffic, as Lenny Hayes has just found out. Great shots by the Fox Sports cameras. Hislop was legged. And he'll get a free in the back half.
It's almost back to the old flood days, isn't it? Where they've all just pushed back and now they've got to push forward. This is where your work rate's got to come in and try and work the ball back into your forward line so that you can have a shot at goal.
So if you're the Saints in this situation, and you're on, how do you counter this tactic that Richmond are using to push all of the players to one end of the ground?
Well, I think that what can happen once you win the ball in your defensive end or around the middle of the ground, you have to keep playing on. You have to move it quickly so you get through that zone or the flood or whatever you want to call it. But if it's a stoppage or a stagnant piece of play, that's when you have to work it around and be patient to find an avenue through to goal. And it doesn't come with a first or second kick.
I get the feeling eventually St.Kilda will force Richmond to turn it over or kick it to a contest like this ball here and win it straight back. And here they go again. Get the feeling they're starting to get on top in that area. Mill very good around the corner, and this kick's great to Del Santo.
And the worry, BT, is when you do set up that sort of flood, that it does take you a long time to work the ball out, and you give up the ascendancy or the flow that they had in that first quarter.
Really smart positioning there from Del Santo. He dragged his opponent out of that space, and the opponent tried to guard the corridor, and in the finish, it was a good kick that found him with about 5 metres to spare on his man.
Well, a quarter and 4 minutes to kick their first goal, possibly, if he gets this. Del Santo directly in front. We know how good he is by foot. And this is a pretty good example of it. St. Kilda get their first goal 4 minutes into the second quarter.
And Richmond now have to keep their heads up and keep working the way they've been working in that first quarter. In that second quarter, they've gone a bit defensive. They've stopped with a run. They've just been happy to flood the back line but not run through the forward line. They've got to get back to what they're doing in the first quarter. And you're right, Jared. Terrific play from Del Santo to place himself, but also by Milne to spot him up, see where he was, and put in a bit of a floater, but it went in the right area. Del Santo finished with a beautiful kick for goal.
Nice finish by Milne there. I think it was deliberate. I think he saw it out the corner of the eye.
The first time within 50, Milne was deliberate to a teammate with him.
Alex Rance there, you could just see he wasn't quite switched on, didn't pick up the kick as quickly as Del Santo did when he moved into the space.
And a very good player this year, Nick Del Santo. Cousins trying to work hard in the middle there.
Well, he's trying to get himself into the game. He kicked an early goal, had a couple of early touches, and then the clamps came down from Clint Jones. Had the 3 possessions to date.
Jones been an excellent tagger this year. Jackson just in the nick of time. Cotchin's got to work hard here against Goddard. Geary arrives. Jones now looking for support. The advantage is paid St. Kilda's way. Graham looking for anyone to come past and give him some forward-moving options. Goddard. Jones likes his left foot, remember. The handball inside to Graham. Back to Montagna. Ball to Milne. Couldn't get it. Richmond have got a 3-on-1 here.
And that's been one of the issues for St Kilda. Kicking the ball into forward targets has been poor so far, and it's been so many have just got nowhere near the target.
Holo not clean there. Nahas took a divot with his head. And that won't do his.
But also that kick through the smallest part of the forward line too. They had options in Rewalt and Kaczynski, decided to go to Milne. Nahas, pretty desperate effort and a bit of a nosedive there, Jared.
Yeah, no good at this Telstra Dome. I'm not sure what the penetrometer readings were, but he just found out.
Shave off a couple of inches off your nose if you're not careful.
He took a fair bit of the grass off, and the concrete's only about 12 inches under, so he was getting close to it. There's Gilbert, free on the wing.
And no doubt St Kilda is starting to get on top with the flow of the ball, and guys like Graham getting their hands on the ball.
Could have kept running, I reckon, Graham. He's a thumping kick from 50. Went unselfishly, though, to Kaczynski.
But he did so, BT, miss a target by 2 or 3 metres.
And a big target of that.
And that's their probably as significant as any in the whole breakdown, that they have just been not honouring the leads with decent kicks.
That's a significant stat as well. St Kilda 5 inside 50s, Richmond none in this quarter. Says to me that St Kilda are starting to work their way into this game, and that's a free going against the Tigers as well.
So, Jared, on that rule, he was tackled, pushed out of bounds. Isn't he out of bounds?
I would have thought he was out of bounds.
You can't make an effort to get it away once you're out of bounds.
And you've got to give him that split second initially to get rid of it, and then by the time the tackle finishes, he's out of bounds. You're right, James. Take that one to the couch tomorrow night. There's Del Santo. Goddard got a nice little lift in the middle of that pack.
Terrific punch, though. Big, solid punch. Get it away from the pack. Get it away from the crummers that are coming down and get it over the boundary line.
There's Graham and Gardner. Wrestling in the back. Gardner did it really well. Snyder was just not able to turn the ball enough.
They only kicked 1 goal, the Saints, but they've the last few minutes, and that's a reaction from Snyder after he misses that goal. But the last few minutes, or pretty much all this quarter, the Saints have been on top.
Couldn't have been set up any better than Gardner set that up for Snyder then. Went without it. Cochin, who hasn't had a lot of the ball, Jared, at the moment in this one.
No, Cochin, Delidio and Cousins have all had not a lot of footy. And that's why I think the position of Richmond on the scoreboard is even more impressive.
Gilbert, Snyder free out in the wing here, BT, and if he gets this, there are 3 or 4 he can go to.
There are, but well done in the end for Edwards to peel off and get back and make it a 1-on-1. Edwards did really well to force the target wide, and this man here, Sylvester, in his first game, I'm telling you, not a lot of hair up top makes him look older than he is, but I tell you what, there is a lot inside up top.
Sylvester, if he didn't have a complex before this, he will after this game.
Rewalt with a horrible kick finds Dawson.
Because you two are stitching him with the hairdo.
Yeah, but if you can play like he does, that's the answer, James.
Tell you what, I've just seen Richmond play some of the most selfless footy I've seen for a long time, and Edwards was the man. He pushed back hard, and his man Tuck covered his man, and in the end, Edwards got back to support. He got the crumb.
Montagna on the end of a chain of St Kilda handballs. Sees something. Milne! Beautiful punch away. The last moment by Rewalt. Picked up in the end. Goal by Ball around the corner.
We're probably lucky in the end. The goal, terrific finish by Luke Ball, but the movement through the ground was fantastic. Milne almost took the mark, and the ball landed in Ball's hands for shot at goal. But as we see here, the movement through the middle of the ground, Milne should have gone at the ball, not go backwards. Went through Tuck's hands, I think it was, and ball kick. But Richmond have changed their style of play, Jared. They were so attacking in that first quarter. Yes, they were flooding back, but their run-off half-back was terrific. Now they're just flooding back and losing that run. They need to get back to the intensity when they had the ball going forward that they had in the first quarter.
Here's this replay of what I was talking about, Edwards. Have a look at him now. He's just charging back. His man comes across and covers. And then he has gone down and supported the first game player and taken it away.
That was brilliant. Really good thinking. The Saints have hit the front for the first time in the game at the 9-minute mark of the second quarter. There's Graham. Goddard, stretching effort. Moore. Iffy handball at best there from Moore. Foley. Quick reaction to Jackson, and a nice kick will set Tambling up with a bit of time.
Has Richmond changed their style, or the St Kilda forwards now just applying the pressure that has been, I guess, a trait of their season?
No, I think that Richmond aren't as attacking when they've got the balls they were in that first quarter. I know it's how attacking you're allowed to be, but they're not taking the risks that they were early on.
Sylvester. Wasn't a great kick. He wasn't worried about the man coming at him for a first gamer.
Jared, I want to ask you a question about Graham. I mean, he's a terrific kick and looks like he's a great kick, but his last 3 kicks into the forward line have been a metre above the guy leading out. Is he?
So what you're saying is a good-looking kick, but the results aren't
Well,
there.
I've seen him kick some fantastic kicks, but this game his kicking is just that, that little bit off as he's about to get the ball again.
Well, I think a lot of St Kilda players have had a similar issue.
Wasn't bad, that one, Jared. Don't know what you're talking about.
I think that one, Hurdy, has proven your point.
Terrific play, and he's got his hands on the ball a lot, but a couple of kicks into Gazitsky have gone above his head. This kick, fantastic, out in space for Weewell to run onto, and as a forward, that is almost the perfect kick.
Graham coming from the bench, from the field, I should say, to the bench, and Clint Jones back on. This is an important kick.
Rewalt from directly in front, a good hit. Saints have kicked all 3 goals in this second quarter.
And they're back playing the type of football that we expect from St Kilda, and back on top, and maybe they've shaken off the cobwebs of the break, and it all starts there with that tackle by Luke Ball, I think it was. As we see Graham, a little bit of criticism in his kicking so far this game, but that kick was absolutely sensational, and you'd love to see Rewalt coming out full-chested and hit with the ball in the chest like that. It's great play.
Well, the break throws up interesting results, and I think St Kilda have come into this. Their kicking has been a little bit off. I don't think they would have expected the fanaticism that Richmond have brought to the table today, but right now the challenge for Jade Rawlings and his match committee is to, and the players of course, is to just make that more consistent throughout the match.
Jones did well. Here's Deledio. Come into the game a little for the Tigers. Tambling, and a good tackle by Gilbert. Hayes, Cousins' tackle was good as well. Richmond advantage here. Tambling, who had averaged 27 in his last 3 games, has a disposal efficiency of 88%. You can see why then. Here's Graham now to Jackson. Handball inside was good to Newman. Where's he going? Rewalt of Richmond. In he comes, got to beat a couple. Off hands, it was well done. Nahas. Here's now Foley, got Cousins wide, back into Deledio. Thought about the kick around the corner. Now Tuck's got to bowl his way through. Did well. Tambling out the corner of his eye. Sees something he likes. And Hislop protects the ball with his body.
Good vision by Tambling, really, and a terrific mark by Tommy Hislop to protect the ball, as BT said, and protect the space where the ball was going, take the mark. But you see Tambling here, not much, just sees out the corner of his eye. Tommy Hislop a metre in front of his man and puts it into space. Terrific kick.
Hislop took a divot. Wasn't great, was it? Not good, but trying to do his best. Morton caught.
Good pressure now. St Kilda have upped the ante. Can Richmond go with them?
Rewalt bursting out of defence onto this one.
Kick is good to Rewalt. He's got Cozzy on long. That's too wide, though. And let off there.
He had to kick it wide, obviously not that wide, because Richmond had 3 defenders coming back. As we see Tommy Hislop kick. No, it wasn't even a divot. It's just a terrible kick.
It was a loose foot.
Looked like his foot 3 inches too long for his foot.
Like his ligaments become detached. And he just went all floppy on me, Jared. There's Foley. By the way,
medication for that.
We've been talking about the young man Sylvester in his first game, Jared, and that he's got a bit of an old look about him.
No, you have, Brian.
Big news down here, boys. Max Hudson has just run around the boundary line. Sorry to cut in, but the St Kilda supporters are going mad.
So I was halfway through my story, but no, Hudson, that's far more important, and that is great news, Lee Colbert, because he went off on a stretcher, if you've just joined us, with a bit of an ankle issue, but great to see him up and about. Here go the Tigers again. Tambling under enormous pressure here. Did well in the end with the help of Rance. Cousins likewise, cool around the body with an excellent kick. Edwards not great. Rance tidies up. Richard have got some space now if they can get it forward of here. The kick wasn't great. Blake really starting to tighten the screws, as Jared said. Now the Saints. Milne goes with a long ball. Kaczynski!
That's a great mark. That's what he can do, isn't it, Gerald? I mean, that is the sort of mark that any team in the competition would be scared of. A packed mark with players all around. He had the run of the ball, but it's stuck in those big hands of his.
More than anything, Hurdy, I think the last 10 minutes have shown what we're all looking forward to next week's game. And that's because St Kilda have absorbed the pressure that Richmond have thrown at them. And they threw enormous pressure at them. They've absorbed it, they've adjusted. Their kicking's still not great, but they've now started to find some targets.
For his first and St Kilda 4 in a row, the Saints are on the rampage in this second term as they start to hunt the Tiger.
And the good thing for the Saints is that Riewoldt and Kosicki's starting to get their hands the ball, and now Jade Rawlings has the decision to make. Does he keep going with that flooding style of football? The movement out of the half-back line there by Richmond was pretty ordinary. Had free players, they missed those targets, and then Milner just putting the ball up, sees Kosicki has the flow in a pack of 3 Richmond players. He's just strong, Jared, and he creates a path for himself to run through and take some mark.
That's the sort of mark, James, that you've spoken about many times through the year that will win you a flag.
Well, Lee Cobb at Hudson, do you think he's going to get back out there?
Well, he's been up and down the boundary line a couple of times, Max, but they're actually checking his right knee as well. So we thought the ankle first, but looks like he might have some knee trouble to go with it. But he's running at least.
Well, the Saints are certainly on the attack here. They go inside 50 again, and Thursfield trying to knock the ball out, not successful. Riewoldt keeps it alive. Thursfield finally arrives. Support from McGuan there. Milne doing well to keep it alive.
Well, big match, BT. Max Hudson's gone from a career-ending Achilles injury to running up and down the boundary, and that's great for St Kilda and great for Max Hudson, who has been such a terrific player for the Saints, and you'd hate to see him go out in injury before the big game against the Cats next week.
Exactly, that round 14 clash has Goddard, a high ball, Del Santo, Kosicki again. We saw him take some clunks in the last game, and he's looking ominous here again. Richmond often going laterally rather than forward because of the St Kilda pressure. Here's Cousins. Strength did well in the end.
And it's a very good call, BT. They're going laterally and they can't seem to be going forward. They can't get it past St Kilda's centre line because of the pressure that the St Kilda players put on. That's a great tackle and desperation by Jones to pull Cousins down.
Neutral territory on the wing. Vickery. Hayes, tuck. Got the kick forward for the Tigers. Hasn't been down this end too much in this quarter because St Kilda kicked 4 goals to none. Aaron Ray. You can just feel them really starting to build some momentum. The Saints are in complete control of this one now. Goddard getting an escort down the ground. One on the left, one on the right, one behind. Kosicki presents. You can go Snyder short and wide. Goddard wanting it, nothing there. Riewoldt motionless down at the forward end, trying to regain his breath after a hard running period. Here goes Gilbert, says, come on, come at me. Riewoldt went wide and gave McGuan with the angle a chance to cut it off.
This is where Richmond have to start working the ball and working it through with handball and running it, rather than just trying to kick their way through. Try and break the St Kilda lines up by running it through the line.
There's Jack Riewoldt. The ball wide and Cousins didn't let him down.
Because St Kilda will just keep pushing over, keep zoning, keep cutting down the space where you need to kick it, hoping that you're going to kick it long and high, and the good St Kilda marks across half-back can cut you off.
In the end, he had no option but to go down the line, and Gardner, his good mate, was unable to get on the end of it. Hislop had it knocked out by Gilbert. Blake to tidy up. Tackled aggressively there was Farron Ray, and a free kick will go to him. Farron Ray's free. So with 5.5 minutes remaining, Richmond do well to keep the score as it is at the moment and go in and rethink this one at half-time with Jade the Blade Rawlings.
You going to stick, you reckon, BT, that no?
I think he likes it.
He likes it, does he?
I think
You've had some feedback that he likes Jade the Blade?
I think he does.
Okay.
Got a really nice edge about it. Andrew throw an attacking 50 for the Saints. You can see a lot of players with inside that 50, but Ball's there, Moore. Went over the top of it, Tuck. To Moore. And we'll have a throw in deep in the St Kilda attack zone.
It's been an impressive quarter by St Kilda. We know the talent, we know how they've worked this year, but to come back after really being outplayed all the first quarter and kick 4 goals in the second quarter has been very impressive.
Polo with a kick around the body and effort to clear the ball out of defence. Jack Rewalt on Blake did well. He didn't handball with a kick at it, so I would have thought that would have to have been a dropping the ball decision or a legal disposal decision.
Yeah, there wasn't much of a handball given there, BT, and he did have a bit of prior.
Perfect tackle,
to
wasn't
give
it?
it across. Yes, it was.
So the Tigers, what have they got in this last 5?
Well, they need to kick a goal. They need to start moving the ball through the St Kilda zone better than what they're doing at the moment.
Here's Montagna, a really smooth mover. Got it inside 52. No effect though. Moore and Polo had to be quick, tambling. Foley got some evasive presence through centre half back. I'm telling you, a couple of candy cells and a third and a fourth spin. Tambling, fancy footwork from the Tigers through the midfield, and Rance with the mark.
A couple of ball getters have got to get some football. Koch and Cousins.
Oh, big boy Graham. It went straight through the claws. Oh, big boy Graham. You've got to take those. Oh, no. Dawson to Graham out the back, and Angus as Graham searches forward. Looking for running support. Snyder's there. More excellent. Going to give the Tigers another chance to reload. Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
What's it got on that ball, BT?
It's slippery. There's Snyder. 60 out. Rewalt's covered. Kaczynski wants it long if he can get it out in front of him. Needs to get back from the man on the mark. Here's Milne and Rewalt. And
Smart
within
play
range
by Snyder just to hold on the ball. Rewalt making multiple leads, trying to get some space in front of him, and held on to it long enough, Snyder, so that Rewalt could get a metre off his man.
Nick Rewalt within range. Goddard getting just to his left, and the young Richmond boy there in the back just admiring the presence of Rewalt being so close to him. Great shot, isn't it?
It is a great shot.
Rewalt from basically on the 50. Kick on the way, looks very, very nice indeed. Just got the post.
I think that Richmond supporter was saying, I wish we could have one of those.
Yes, I think he was. He was looking at him and saying, gee, you are good.
Billy, how is it that Richmond can play so well for 30 minutes of footy, and yet they really haven't had any genuine attack inside their forward 50 at all in this quarter?
I think in the first quarter they played a style of football where they went back and they helped out down back in their midfielders, but when they turned the ball over, they were able to run it back out, and they just haven't had that run out of the St Kilda forward line they had in that first quarter. But also St Kilda's forward line has put a lot more pressure on than they did in the first quarter as well. So it's a combination of the two, I think.
2:20 remaining in this second quarter. Richmond have not scored at all in this quarter. Cochin. Look at the desperation, the commitment by Ball was outstanding. And the kick was good too to McWalter.
And also, Jared, that Richmond took a lot of risks in that first quarter. They came off. Their kicking skills a lot better than they came off. This quarter, their kicking skills have been very ordinary coming out of the back line.
Goddard, the easiest of lead-up marks and well within his range. And he's a very nice kick of the ball.
I think with a bit of fatigue and just short of half-time, that's when the fatigue is really stressing the body. The absolute charge running just is lost to any side.
There is Goddard, a great look at the angle, and didn't really do it all that well.
But St Kilda's kicking in this game hasn't been sensational. They haven't been the great kicking side that we've come to expect all year.
Think about this, Richmond will go in and say, well, we're just 14 points down at half-time, and St Kilda have played well, and so that it's just another good quarter of football, and they're back in with a really good chance. So it's not all bad for the Tigers. There's Polo.
I think if Tigers can get a few players ahead of the ball, BT, and start, you have a look at the ground at the moment. The balls, there was probably only one Richmond player forward of the centre of the ground. Very hard to kick goals when you've got 3 or 4 St Kilda players back covering that one Richmond player.
Max Hudson back too, boys, which is great news for the Saints. He just came on the ground.
It is indeed. And that should have been another drop on the ball or a illegal disposal decision.
That's a fair recovery from Max.
Yep, it is. Stretch it off in that first quarter and back out there now. Might cop a little bit of stick from the teammates over that one, Maxie.
You don't live those ones down, do you, when you're on the stretcher and you come back on 20 minutes later.
We don't know what he's had done, though. He might have had 3 injections in it just to get out there.
Especially when you're 20 metres from the bench. I've got a feeling, regardless of what the St Kilda outcome is with Hudson, that they'll be giving it to him, Gerard. And regardless of the circumstances. Here is Del Sano giving it over the top to Hayes. Beautiful ball, Kazitsky down lay.
That's the kick which was absent in the first quarter. That one that prevented the defender, this time Jared Sylvester, from absolutely having any impact whatsoever. That was pinpoint perfect.
Well, this to make it an even 20 points. And the Lenny Hayes kick was really, really indefendable in the end. And Kazitsky, a nice finish. Directly in front, distance will not be a problem at all here for Kazitsky, who comes in, and neither will accuracy because the goal umpire hasn't moved at all. He gets a couple in a row. The Saints have kicked 5 in a row. We have 3 seconds on the clock left in the first half, and the Saints are doing a very nice job.
20-point deficit. It's almost impossible to believe that the Tigers looked as good as Richmond in the first quarter, and yet they haven't produced too much in this second quarter. But there is a gap between them on the ladder, and I think we're seeing the reason why at the moment, Hurley. But still a long way to go in this match. And I think Jade Rawlings, as much as anybody, needs to reassess the way he's approaching it from a structural perspective.
He does a little bit, but the goal came from a defensive action by St Kilda or a mistake by Richmond, whichever way you want to see it. It was a smothered handball which led to a turnover in the middle of the ground. Another goal to St Kilda.
So back to the middle. There'll be no further score to the half-time scores. And a very, very good turnaround if you're a St Kilda supporter. They kick 5 second-quarter goals. They turned a 12-point quarter-sign deficit into a 20.
Gerard?
What is interesting, it's gone from the Stewart medal has gone from a 4-man decision to a 1-man James Hird decision.
He is the medalist of many types and qualities, so he can assume.
I don't want the blame for that one, Gerard. You're in it. BT's in it, and so's Colby.
All I can say is thank goodness they invented a medal that James Hird has never won. We're ready to start the second half. The Saints over the Tigers by 20 points. Good atmosphere, good feel about this one. Stay with us. Live and exclusive on Fox Sports. Cousins with a good start.
And that's what he had to do, Gerard. He hasn't had a lot of ball in the first half. Cousins get himself into the game and start working hard for the Richmond Footy Club.
He's got some teammates. Cotchin in particular, his first half was poor. His work rate wasn't anywhere near what it has been in recent times. So the other thing, I see that Foley has gone on to Lenny Hayes.
Yeah, terrific reading of the tap by Cousins there.
It was indeed. And as a result, Richmond have it locked at their forward end of the ground.
He's been used to roving the Gardner over the journey.
Yes. Gardner might have said to him, look, I'll give you one, mate, and that's all you're getting today. There is an opportunity for Baker, who was tackled, but still had the awareness to get rid of the ball as he was going to ground. Geary was really under the pump. I like the Richmond presence early in this third quarter. They're showing that they're willing to have a go, and Cotchin really went in hard. So did Goddard, I might add.
Yeah, Goddard putting his head over the ball. Terrific play. It's a big challenge for Rawlings and his the new coach and also the team, because emotion gets you so far, and probably a lot of the sort of game and a half they've played has been played on emotion, trying to do the most of the coach. Now can it be more than emotion and all about tactics and skill and playing the footy they need to play?
Well, I like this move of Foley. You know, attack. Somebody's got to attack. Foley on Lenny Hayes, I think, is a shootout.
Here's Rewalt. Nudged under the ball very nicely by Dawson. He was careful not to give away the free. Fisher. A really good user and setter-upper of play. I used that word at school and I continue to use it now.
Did it get your marks at school, Peter?
No, it didn't. Here's Milne. Really good on first field. Geary. Rewalt. That's a mark. 55 out, too far to score.
Running from Adam Snyder, absolutely superb, and Geary was up there in that class as well.
Rewalt goes wide and sees Goddard, who stood there. It was a great kick and had the height.
And that's why he's a great player, BT. He was in that contest you called on the half-back line, putting his head over the ball. Didn't get the ball, but caused the ball to spill out. Then sprinted 150 metres, take a mark 30 metres out from goal.
So what positions is he playing at the moment, Goddard?
I think he's playing just an all-over position. I think he starts at half-back and then runs up and down the ground, and they use him on a transition through the game.
What I'm getting at, great example for kids, that if you're playing half-back, half-forward, doesn't matter. You've got the licence to work both ends. As Goddard comes in with a low ball and a nice goal, they continue the run of 6.
Look, he's today's modern footballer, Goddard. He's 6'2". He's 90 kilos or thereabouts, and he can run all day. And that's what clubs want their side players who can run up and down the ground all day. And with the kicking skills that he's got, here's a mark. It was only just paid to Riewoldt. Can't believe it. It was called so late, but then Riewoldt's great vision sees Goddard over the back of the play, holds his ground, and he's able to get that space, Goddard, because of his running ability, because his willingness to push hard into the forward line and put it through the middle, Jared.
He's had a fantastic year, and as you can see there, Alex Rance has got the duties at the centre clearance, at the centre bounce. He's lining up on a wing, and he's pushing into defence and pushing forward, as we've just seen.
Great example. Here is Gardner. It was a good tap. You heard the umpire compliment Michael Gardner. It was excellent in game 150. There's Tambling trying to back out of a Jones tackle. Graham now. His issues this year as he goes out wide with this kick here. Goddard, opportunity over the top. Here's McWalter, sizzling ball to Riewoldt.
And that's St Kilda we come to know. That's a beautiful pass to Riewoldt. You won't be able to stop Riewoldt if that sort of pass comes in.
And that was just A-grade football.
Nick Riewoldt to line up for his second goal.
Bad signs for the Tigers, Jared.
Well, they've won some clearances, but they've given the ball straight back.
Showing signs this year that he's resurrecting this part of his game.
Definitely.
The set shot goal kicking from 50. Really casual and relaxed over the ball. Gets his second. Saints have now kicked 7 consecutive goals.
Well, that one was right out of the screws. That was the most impressive kick I've seen Nick Riewoldt do for some time. It did not deviate. It spun magnificently. And therein lies the difference between St Kilda in the first quarter and St Kilda in the third. It was a pretty lame effort by Edwards to find a man, and then there was no support running. It was just all St Kilda, and they have taken the game to a new level.
And Goddard, terrific play to get the ball, but again they turned the ball over Richmond across half-back because of St Kilda's pressure, and that's what St Kilda is so good at. They turn the ball over around that half-back line, and then they run. You saw Goddard explode after the Graham kick, get the ball, and it was delivered into Riewoldt terrifically well.
The back of Molly Meldrum there, and watching his Saints, has been a fanatical St Kilda supporter all of his life and loves talking anything St Kilda.
Well, you can just see Jones just hard at it. Look at him just paroling the right-hand side of that pack. He's on Cousins. He's got Cousins exactly where he wants him, and he is not going to let this scalp off the hook.
Jones and Cousins. Here's Gardner.
Maybe a chance, Hurdy, to push Cousins into the small forward line because he's just giving no drive at all.
Goddard from the Baker hard ball get was impressive. Riewoldt wide.
Yeah, they need to be able to find a way to get Cousins off the Jones tag. But Goddard's start to this first quarter, it's what, 5.5 minutes in, and he's been on fire. I think it's his third inside 50 so far this quarter.
Maybe put Cousins on Goddard, make him a tag.
Yep.
Newman. Man going the wrong way in Cousins, but he did really well. Cousins under enormous pressure. And there he is again, the man wearing him like a glove, Clint Jones. As soon as Cousins got it, wrapped him up.
Colby, Maxie Hudson still warming up. The ankle not quite freeing up as he would like, or is he just on the bench for tactical reasons?
Oh, I think you're absolutely right. He's just trying to warm it up as best he can. He came back on in that second quarter. It was a little bit ginger. Half-time, as I said, was trying to keep it as warm as he could, but he'll come back on, no doubt, Max. Tough man.
We've got a St Kilda player down behind play.
Yeah, quite a way off the ball, just to the left of this picture here at centre-half forward. The St Kilda player now got back to his feet and looks reasonably okay. This is a good-looking ball, isn't it? Kazitsky with a double juggler. And he'll line up within range. He's kicked 2. This will be his third attempt, and then you can see Geary.
Nice lead, BT, and a nice kick into space, but Kazitsky just held his man off. The kick by Schneider into the space that Kazitsky created for himself. Left it till late to lead and led into space up the ground.
The umpire saying they noticed the incident then in the background with Geary, so that is interesting. As Cozzy comes in and just goes bang gets the goal, and they've got 8 in a row now. The Saints becoming a bit of a parade here.
Now, I didn't see Kaczynski touch the ball in the first quarter, Jared. He might have, but since quarter time, there's three goals. As you see, Gary, an incident here that's off the bottom of the screen.
Oh,
little kidney punch, and they can hurt, Jared.
They can. I mean, it's pretty dumb stuff from, I think it was Trent Cotchin. Achieves nothing except a holiday for him just when he doesn't need it, and certainly the club doesn't need it.
So Fox Sports cameras on the ball there as Cozzy sends that one home from a long way out, kicks his 3rd goal. But Geary, who is now on the bench, receiving a bit of attention there, looks okay. But Trent Cotchin, I think, in a little bit of bother. Back in the middle of the ground, Deledio. Through traffic, hurried handball, Nahas. Good give, Edwards on the inside. Here is Cotchin. Could have given it again, went himself, and in the end got himself into trouble, Gilbert.
And this is where they break, BT. They break. As soon as you turn the ball over, they run hard, and normally get a shot at goal from this transition.
Goddard with a low ball to Rewalt. It was a great kick. Gave the defender no chance. In the end, McWan. Here's Foley. Did well. Cousins will look for the give and go off Graham, and he's got it. Needs a Shepherd now, but Angus Graham couldn't get there.
Great pressure, Kaczynski.
Kick around the corner of Oakley-Nichols. And he will endeavour to come off the ground as Nahas in picture. A little boundary throw in right in front of the St Kilda warm-up bench there. That picture gives you a really good look. Every player on this side of the ground, nearest side. Gardner been doing that with regular occurrence today. Tuck to Jackson. Wasn't clean with the first attempt. Thursfield under pressure, ripped out of his hands by Montagna. Tuck was hard, had an opportunity, sucked it back in, should be penalised. Wasn't.
The St Kilda of this first half of the season are back, Jared. They took a little bit of time to come back, but they're back.
And down on the boundary line, Colby.
You spoke about Goddard's influence in this 3rd quarter. Daniel Jackson's been moved across onto him to tag him, so no more Montagna for Jackson. Now he's got Goddard.
Gee, we'll have a ball up there. When we see the red light flash up here, Jared, people wouldn't know, a red light in our commentary box up here. And that flash is urgent. Means Lee Colbert wants to speak, and I've never seen that
I
flash.
thought I was in trouble when that red light came on. What's going on
It's an
here?
innovation Colby has implemented himself.
He personally installed it today. I saw him running the cables.
It's flashing again.
Not getting enough of a go. Graham from a long way out. Misses left.
Colby, what did you think of that one, mate?
I just wanted to let you know those cables are run very, very well. I'll show you the light, boys. There it is.
Very good, Colby, but can't have cameras everywhere. Now here's Polo. Back half for the Tigers. Jared, they haven't kicked a goal since the 6-minute mark of the first quarter, and we're now 10 into the 3rd quarter.
Well, came into the match looking at their midfield, the Tigers, and when you put it down collectively, you think, gee, this is a pretty serious group of players. And yet, we saw what they could do in the first quarter, when they may have just got under the guard of St Kilda a little bit, but they just have not produced anything resembling, you know, a top 8, top 10 effort in this second half, and maybe it's because we overrate the group.
Montagna, great tackle by Newman, no free again. Happened 3 times today, that where there's been a clear tackle and not a clear disposal. The umpire has not paid the perfect tackle. Kick inboard, not great, but Rewalt still a chance to recover the ball for a big man, did well. Shot the handball off. Rewalt of Richmond. Handling inboard. Richmond running out of tarmac here as Moore.
Gone.
Oh. Edwards, gee, the tackle was at pace and with great aggression.
May have hurt himself.
Ball comes back, opportunity here for the Tigers. How desperate are the Saints at the moment? Every time they go for the ball, they look like hurting a Richmond player.
Well, that's a throw. McAvoy has had the opportunity to put Nahas into hospital. In fact, it was Edwards.
Look at this.
But in the finish, he just got a little bit too high. He could have just driven the shoulder into his ribcage and done some serious damage. But he hurt himself.
And this is a free here as well, because he didn't dispose of it properly. Now I reckon they've missed 4 of those today, and that one they've paid.
Well, that was a clear throw. It's pretty hard to miss that one. And it had to be paid. just getting back to the Tigers midfield, we know when we've seen it, they can play as well as anybody in bursts. You have to question whether they can work hard enough for long enough due to the fact that they've just dropped away so badly.
McQualter, in his attempts to make it 9 in a row, has squeezed it through with a bit of right to left. Just. Saints look incredibly impressive.
You're right, Jared. The thing that's probably kept them in the game a little bit, even though they're 7 goals behind now, is St Kilda's skill. They've made some errors going into the forward line, haven't been as crisp as they perhaps were earlier in the year. But, you know, Richmond turn the ball over in positions like this, or St Kilda's defensive pressure making Richmond turn the ball over, and then this just a silly free kick by Bowley. Polo, sorry, a throw. You should know that's going to be a free kick, and that's just silly, and I suppose an opportunist goal then.
Well, a 45-point margin here now, when only some 12 minutes ago it was a 20-point margin, and with some Richmond chances, that has dissipated very quickly here. And this is what a really good side can do. Gee, it sets up a mouth-watering event next week. Not a football game, an event between Geelong and St Kilda here at Etihad Stadium.
Well, I reckon there's 2 events next week. All of a sudden, the Essendon Collingwood game is looming as a beauty as well. But this St Kilda, in fact, it's like grand final week leading in, and they're blokes ringing all over the place trying to eke out a ticket.
Well,
but you cannot get them.
Up there in Sydney watching, and you're an NRL fan, and you're a little bit concerned about the crowds up there. We're going to get over 80,000 on Friday night. This place is going to be packed to capacity as well, with a 55 crowd here as well. Enormous results for football. See, crowds are up again this year with memberships, so the AFL brand is looking really good at the moment. Geary, Rewalt, Tuck, Newman, Nahas.
Good call from the umpire. Ducked every time.
You've got to admire the St Kilda pressure. They just don't let you out when you've got the ball, and we keep harping on it. Maybe a little bit boring when we talk about their pressure, but it's irresistible.
Right over the long ball. Kosicki! What a great dive.
Well, he shouldn't be too disheartened here, Jared Sylvester. He is playing on a bloke who is really starting to show some fantastic form, Hurdy. It's taken him all year. He's just slowly been building, and he is producing football that we all hoped he was going to produce for some years.
Yeah, it's been great to watch this year. He's had some really good games, probably career-defining games so far this year. And if he stays away from injuries and attacks the ball like that, he's pretty well unstoppable.
The big boy for his 4th goal, directly in front from the red arc. It's a good-looking ball. It's a big ball, long ball, straight ball. They've kicked 10 in a row, the Saints.
And he doesn't miss too many. He's kicking. He missed one in the second quarter, I think it was, from just outside 50. But from anywhere with inside 50 on a decent angle, he's very, very reliable. And he only needs to take 5 or 6 marks a game, and there's 5 goals, and that can be very damaging against a good side. Again, defensive pressure. They win the ball back. Head-high tackle to Hayes, and just the desperation to make sure you get your arms under it, get in front. Getting in front from a forward is. It's very hard to do sometimes, and then to finish like that, exceptional play.
That's an all-or-nothing dive, isn't it?
Yep.
In your attempts to win the ball.
And at other times in his career, he'd hit his head or he's, do a shoulder or something, but his body's holding together now.
It is. So the Saints continue on with an impressive streak here, which now nets them 10 consecutive goals. Cousins. Always under pressure, Richmond.
They just force them backwards, St Kilda. Continually forcing you backwards.
Keep coming at you. There's Tamning. He's been good. He's been averaging 27 this year over the last 3 games.
They've gone back to the man-on-man, so they haven't got the luxury of the extra overlap player. And in doing so, I think they have just lost that want to run.
Defeated the West Coast Eagles 2 weeks ago, the Tigers. But there's not a lot of sign of that here today. As St Kilda look for the transfer.
They've got it.
McAvoy has found it. And Geary has got Schneider on if he wants him. But back off the man on the mark safely and then send it over the top to the Schneider. A lovely ball to Milne. He'll try and turn your inside out. The kick to space for Cozzy to run into. Couldn't quite get it. McQualter with a good tackle. Ball pinned.
No wonder he gets hurt, Kaczynski. I mean, he just attacks the ball so hard. If he doesn't mark it, hits the player, balls comes to ground. And if it's St Kilda, Crummer and Milne and Schneider, here we go, bang, hits the pack.
He's a killing machine.
Yeah, he is, isn't he? Kills the ball or the play.
Polo.
Gee, here's McGuan. Foley, do the simple thing. Don't try and create something that's not there. The kick was a little uppish for Jack Rewalt. Here's Hudson going to test the ankle out. Jack did well to get a foot to it. Maxie Hudson, you would probably think if they get some success this year, it may well be his last year. Not sure any official word on that, but I think they nearly had to talk him into playing this year, didn't they, Jared?
I think it took him about 2.5 minutes to convince him.
Snyder over the top.
I think when you've been around as long as Max and, you know, there is just another chance at the higher honours, well, then he'll be backing up, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him go around again. There's nothing that says to me, BT, that he couldn't go again. He's kept his pace, kept his courage, kept his discipline.
Gardner to Del Santo. The smooth mover to Rewalt was impressive.
I wouldn't be surprised if Rewalt gives Milne a bit of a spray too. I mean, Milne should have stayed out of that channel there and let...
Well, he had a filthy look at him.
Yeah, he did have a filthy look, and you would. I mean, Milne's role is not to block up the space there. It's to create the... Del Santo here, just reading the tap better than his opponent. And, yeah, Milne, stay out of there, son, or you'll cop the wrath of the captain.
And Rewalt, just after this, has a really good look at him. There it is.
Yeah. Oh, there's the spray.
Yep, and there was a bit of spray about it as well. Now, as a result, Milne feeling a little despondent about things, but Rewalt lines up, and that's not his best effort today.
Rest assured that was Milne's fault.
Yes.
The captain.
You got to know, BT, when the big full forward's on the lead, to keep out of his way, don't you?
Yeah, well, you give him one warning. If he does it again, you try and bring contact up on him, even if he is your team man. Tigers struggling to get the ball back into play here. Here's Moore, got to go through some really heavy traffic. There's the young man, Sylvester, a mature age debutant. And that's dropping the ball.
It's just great pressure, isn't it? I mean, Richmond just couldn't get it out. They pinned them in the pocket. Nowhere to transfer the play, and they've won the ball back.
And he does play on, gives it off to Farron Ray from 48. At the back of the pack, lurking dangerously is Rewalt. Got to cut the clunks on it. The umpire hasn't paid, said it was touched. He thought it was a clear mark. I thought there might have been a little touchy in it. As the ball goes towards goal and a minor score in the end, this will be interesting on replay.
Definitely touch, BT. I think your first call was right.
In those pack marks, sometimes they pay that.
Well, maybe not.
No, you pay that.
Yeah, it's a mark.
In a pack, even if there is a slight fingertip there, you pay that. Not wanting to get the umpires in trouble, but pay it. Jackson. There he is. Sylvester. Sylvester. Kicked into the man on the mark, Snyder.
Fair enough for a bloke in his first game. I think he's done particularly well. He's been one of the positives in a pretty dark day now for the Tigers.
There's Rewalt, McQualter. Geary around the corner. Saints fans love it. The pressure, unbelievable.
And there's a bit of a blue-on behind play, just pulling Jackson out of Rewalt. Not happy with the pressure that's been put on his teammates. But again, a goal created from either Richmond poor play or just the St Kilda pressure that's put on the man with the ball.
Well, at this time it was Jared Sylvester, so he gets an excuse because I think he's done a fantastic job so far. I know he's been beaten in the finish, but he's been given absolutely no help whatsoever from the midfield. The ball has just come in there since quarter time like a steam train. He's been trying to battle one out, holding back the tide. And I reckon we've seen exactly why Richmond are 14th on the ladder today. They put up a big effort, but it's a token effort. I know it went for 30 minutes, but when they were challenged back, their resistance is paper thin.
With the umpire, no advantage. For, St Kilda free. Ball. In these efforts to get it to Del Santo. Now Gilbert's got a free ball forward. Good ball to Snyder. Tambling did well. the Richmond fans would be just sitting at the moment pondering, should I stay or should I go?
Is that home or?
Yes. And I reckon they'll stay.
Right. If you're a good supporter, you'd stay, wouldn't you?
Just for a little bit longer.
Not till the end.
Jackson popped one high, should have got a free. There's Cousins. Downfield, Gilbert.
Well, in the end, if Nahas had to put his hands in the air, he would have grabbed that footy.
And again, St Kilda trying to get out the other side of the ground where Richmond haven't got their players and get space. Another avenue through to goal, and I think they've found one if Blake can get this possession right.
There's Fisher. He's backing up to give himself room and time. Goddard. Had to make someone come at him, McQualter. The red light's on again. It means I'm going to Lee Colbert shortly, but Tamling's got the ball. Delidio coming, Colby, Foley. In the middle, turnover complete, can't come yet. Action on here, Saints looking for another one. A little ball forward to Rewalt, got hands on it, couldn't take the mark. And Polo with a clearing kick out wide. Let's go down to Lee Colbert.
Both clubs are one man down. McGuan's come off for the Tigers with a right leg injury, and also Maxie Hutchins limped off again. So both of them up their races for their respective clubs.
Morton with a nice kick.
I think a big game ahead next week that they just put Max Hutchins on ice if his ankle's any chance of coming up for a big game. You wouldn't risk him anymore, I would have thought.
Graham's got to do some aerial work here on big Angus Graham, and did really well. And now said, I'm going to run away. Couple of bounces, Tambling Corrals. Got a pretty ugly kick-off, and Polo at half-back.
I've enjoyed Polo's work today. I think his work rate has been consistent throughout. And so's this bloke. He's worked his butt off for the entirety of the match. But I don't think you could say the same about too many of his teammates.
Rance running himself into some trouble here. Cousins amongst three St Kilda players had no chance.
And that's the point. Why is there so many St Kilda players there, BT? The work rate has dropped off significantly amongst too many of their midfielders.
Del Santo, Milne and Goddard all combining. 3:45 left. Richmond have not scored at all since the first quarter. That's right. Richmond have not scored at all since the first quarter.
Not a point?
Not a point, nothing. 2-3-15 been locked there since the first quarter.
Amazing, isn't it?
Oh boy, wowee. Not good. There's Del Santo.
Obviously when you get excited enough, Jared,
It's the first time he's used a wowee for the year.
6-minute mark of the first quarter, Cousins, their last goal. And it's not looking good here with 3 remaining in the third.
I just think it's a really good eye-opener for whoever is going to get the job against Richmond. This is a group that collectively at the moment can't sustain their work rate long enough.
Taking your advice, Jerris, looks like good night for Max.
Yeah, he's got, I mean, we saw it, what happened. He's got to have some serious soft tissue damage there. Whether or not he can play with it under injection will be the issue coming into next week. But it'll get worse this week before it gets better.
So getting the ice on it to immediately stop the bleeding. Important in the first 24 hours of treatment. And then some heat treatment towards the middle part of the week. It is Tuck.
He was given a few out, Daniel Jackson, and he's starting to cop a couple. I think there's a bit of squaring up going on out there, but I like the way he just keeps his chin up, Daniel Jackson, and to me he leads from the front.
He has. He's had the better of Montagna today. Montagna with 12 possessions and Jackson with 21. He's done very well, Jackson, a side that hasn't given much of a yelp since quarter time.
He's Baker in tight. Wanted the ball, did ball. On his non-preferred side, Gardner. Good spoil in the end it was.
Yeah, and if you look behind the play at the moment, Jared, at the 5 or 6 Richmond players that are just standing there while St Kilda have the ball in their forward line.
Snyder claiming the mark. Wasn't the 15-metre journey covered though, and now Graham's got a shot, but from deep on the boundary line.
One of the really good signs of how hard a team's working is after 3 seconds, after a ball is left to stoppage, look which team has the players left around the ball and which side spread. And in today's game, it's been Richmond after quarter time. It's always been around the ball and hasn't spread as well as St Kilda has. Very good sign of who's working hard and who's not.
Brendan Goddard will line up. Just been told that Richmond's last score of any sort was a behind at the 13-minute mark of the first quarter. Jack Rawlings hit the post. In comes Goddard, and he's missed to the left.
It's looking good for that medal, Jared. Brendan Goddard so far had a terrific game up to three-quarter time. Not that I want to influence you two or Colby down the boundary line in your decisions.
Well, he was a foot and a half over, or maybe that's an exaggeration, but clearly well and truly outside of the line was Moore.
James Hird openly declares someone's won the medal. It's very, very hard to turn it around.
Still a quarter to go, BT.
Now we've got a blood rule here, so we're going to see a slight hold up in the game. Montaigne's been, or Jackson's been asked to leave the ground with some blood. Now the blood must be flowing. Barely a dribble there. I think it's unfair to send them off. The new rule is, under the blood rules, is it's supposed to be free-flowing blood. Now, to me, Montaigne is probably in the same situation as Jackson. Shouldn't have to come off the ground.
Oh, good, Chris.
Umpire just said, just wipe it off. Now,
Why didn't Jackson just wipe it off?
yeah, it's not free-flowing. I don't know whether you can see, Colby. We'll come to you in a moment. We'll have this ball up just near the goal first as Richmond try and rush it through for a behind without being too obvious. They do that. Down to you, Lee Colby.
I don't want to speculate too much, but it might be actually Daniel Jackson's blood on Lee Montaigne.
Well, that would be interesting. Cotchin.
This is where they're struggling, Richard, just to work it out of this space on the ground. St Kilda have got the switch covered. They can't switch it too far. And they keep closing them down. Graham coming in and closing down.
Oh, and forcing that sort of error.
And that's where St Kilda have been so good this year. When you have the ball in St Kilda forward line, they close down your space.
They must make you feel like you're playing in your bedroom. No space. There's walls all around, James. You just feel like you're hemmed in. Mum won't let you out, and you're grounded for a week.
I'm glad you cleared that up, BT. Because they do. They put the pressure on and keep you in, and this could be an interesting shot for goal.
Del Santo went with the drop punt and just put it across the face and hit the boundary post in the end.
And really, St Kilda the last 10 minutes just been toying with Richmond. Just St Kilda haven't really played great footy, but as you said, Richmond haven't scored since was it the 13-minute mark of the first quarter.
That's it. And Jack Rawlings hit the post.
And this is where St Kilda want you. They want to put you in this position so you can't get it out. If you look down the ground, just looks like there's no space. And you've got to kick long and high, which is where St Kilda big marks come in.
Here's Delidio, goes with one with a lot of air time, which means St Kilda defenders have time to get into the area. But this man, Sylvester.
Well, Delidio actually took his man on, and that's what they did in the first quarter. They actually took a punt, took a gamble. And they did it with a lot more flair and dare than they've done since quarter time.
Now, there's more blood on the eye of Montaigne here again. Now
that's his.
That's his, but you know the rule's either there or it's not. To me, it's not flowing blood, and it's not an issue. But Jackson certainly shouldn't have gone off under that rule. We've got just a few seconds remaining here until the three-quarter time siren. There it is. St Kilda by a whopping 60 points. They increased the margin by 40 points then.
4 effective disposals forward of the centre for Richmond in 2 quarters of footy.
4 effective disposals.
4 effective disposals thanks to champion Dale.
Well, I want to see you blokes actually put your word in, actually go out on a limb and give someone the medal, BT, rather than just sit back and take.
Well, I want to see Richmond have a crack this quarter because I don't think they did in that in the last 2.
There is Jones. Opportunity for Jackson bouncing off a couple. Jones again inside 50 for an entry. Moore will attack this one for the Tigers. Lead Kazitsky to the ball. And a nice looking kick out wide. Cousins over, Nahas in front. Ray and Hayes combine. And now Luke Ball sends it back down the line. Kazitsky in the contested situation, unable to get hold of it. Clever over the top from Snyder to Milne. A little poker to Revolt. Revolt, I've been told. It's revolt, not revolt. I like revolt.
Well, I like Snyder's game. I think his running in the second quarter was pivotal in the Saints really breaking apart the Richmond Footy Club.
It'd have to be someone with a high standing in the game, BT, to actually change your opinion on the way the name's been pronounced.
Not even someone like Jonathan Brown would change my mind on the way I pronounce it, because we are in Australia here. Up goes the ball, and in the end, offline to the right, just the minor score. So the Tigers, Jared, can you see them kicking goals in this last quarter?
Well, I just want to see them run again, BT. I want to see them taking it on from the fence. Have some, well, even that'll do. A mongrel taught down the centre is as good as any.
It's worked. Morton
gets some run from behind the ball and start playing, you know, not safe footy, just have a crack.
Jack's got one spinning end over end, needs a good bounce here. Hislop just couldn't quite get it rolling towards the goal. High tackle on Baker, so this would be the advantage paid here to McWalter. Hayes it was, in fact. Here's Goddard. Montagna got rid of it quickly, knew he was under Nahas pressure.
And just having a look at Tambling, then Delidio. They're in second gear when they're trying to push up and put pressure on Richmond, St Kilda coming out of the defensive area, so they are able to pinpoint their kicks. In the first quarter, they were fanatical. They were in their face. They were making St Kilda push the ball forward without precision, and yet work rate has undermined their competitiveness today.
One of the criticisms of Richmond under Terry Wallace is that off the ball they didn't work that hard. When they had the ball, they worked hard. And the first quarter, working off the ball, as you're talking about, Jared, they worked very well off the ball. But since quarter time, they have not run when they haven't had the ball in their hands well enough for AFL football standard.
The Saints with 12 consecutive wins, looking for their 13th. With that 12th win, no side has failed to make the grand final when being 12-0 in any season.
It's a fair stat because there's two teams there. That means we can stop now and run that grand final, maybe BT, and see who wins. But we all know footy can change very, very quickly. A couple of injuries can change a season.
There's Gardner. Graham near the boundary line. Kick to Rewald, who presents nicely.
So as we go into the next week, Hurdy, who, if you had to be pushed right now, who would you say is going to win the match? Who would you tip based on what you've seen over the last couple of weeks?
I've been very impressed with St Kilda all year. I think on this performance today, I'd have Geelong just in front. I think St Kilda have done enough to win, but particularly that first quarter, they showed that they weren't quite there at the moment.
Rewalt for goal number 3, misses badly to the right.
And that's tough to a team that's 62 points up, but I think Geelong, just with their form for the last 3 years, are slightly in front, but that's St Kilda's challenge. Can they get up and can they put that defensive pressure that they've put on every other side this year to the side like Geelong, who have such great skill?
Newman with a thumping ball down the middle. Jack Rewalt.
Good mark.
Was good. And immediately the play on, so the Tigers all of a sudden have a bit of open field ahead. Foley with the ball to Tambling. Got some wheels as Tambling. Didn't go for home. Nicely nursed kick.
It's interesting, Newman's last two kicks out of the back line gone straight down the middle, long and hard.
Morton in the goal square, looking to get Nahas, but I think he's accidentally kicked the goal. So Richmond have accidentally kicked the goal.
Accidentally? That probably doesn't count, that accidentally. But Morton's a true full forward, isn't he?
But it's taken so long to try something different. It's taken 2 1/4 quarters for Newman, the skipper, to bang the ball down and say, we are getting smashed, chipping the ball around. We're just not trying anything different. We'll keep stuffing this up and keep getting put to the blade by St Kilda's forward pressure. The captain grabbed the ball, kicked it long, and away they went. Now, that's not going to work every time. In fact, if you do it 3 or 4 times, it will break down. But at least it was something to try and mix it up a little bit.
He disguised that goal well, didn't he? Looked as though he was passing and just put it straight through the middle. You would have done a couple of those BT in your day at full forward.
He does like to play on from that area, doesn't he, Morton? But no, I haven't. Hayes, look at the hands in the middle. Just sensational. The Saints, Schneider turns around on his favoured left side, and Graham slots into the spot. Danny Hayes looking a little sore after that collision with Jackson.
He puts in Jackson, doesn't he? Like, gets in their face and continually to hit bodies.
Graham, who's had some issues with form this year, been a little up and down, and has been in some nice touch here today, Jared. Jason Graham.
Well,
would he be in contention for the Stewart medal?
Well, just having a look over my right shoulder.
No. You boys have to have your opinion.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Who's in front, Jared, in your...
I think you've got the man, Hurdy. I think Jason Graham would have been certainly a contender. It's 23 possessions. He's been a four-quarter player. Nick Del Santo also has been excellent. And I think Michael Gardner also has had a significant impact just with his work around the stoppages.
Last time I spoke to you, I thought it was Gardner, so you've dropped off him almost instantaneously, Jared. Is that right? Goddard? As the kick goes inside for the Tigers, not well weighted, and Blake able to mark.
I reckon Farron Ray was in front of quarter time, BT, and yet they've put the clamps on Farron Ray. Yet I think with 8 or 9 touches early, he was one of the few St Kilda players to get going. And yet he has faded to some degree.
Here's Graham to Hayes. Running support ahead of him in Montagna, and that's where he goes. Now the link from Graham now. No one presenting deep. Rewalt was a little close, and now he doubles back. But in the meantime, Graham had to carry the ball. Vickery for the Tigers. Polo. Jackson. Hemmed in. Couldn't hit Cousins. Gardner and Cousins go at it. Jones. Gilbert. They build the Saints. Ball with a long one in. Snyder works his man Polo under the ball nicely.
And it's nice moving by the Saints, and Schneider using his body well, protecting the space where the ball was going to land and not pushing the guy in the back. That's a difficulty with this new rule. As you see him just hold his ground and give a push into the chest and protect where the ball was going to land. Excellent forward line play.
Snyder will line up, favours his left side. Kicked the goal today. Comes in and makes it look pretty easily in the end, and the Saints get their 12th.
Yeah, he did take it very easily and put it through the goals. Jared, you asked me the question about the Geelong-St Kilda clash next week. Who do you think will win the game and why, mate?
Well, I reckon you just got to say, until St Kilda prove they can beat Geelong, you just got to go with Geelong. I'm with you, but it wouldn't surprise either way. But everybody knows how well St Kilda are playing. They're playing footy that's capable enough of beating Geelong. And Geelong, I think, have been playing in fits and starts for the last month. I don't think their form's been that impressive, but I think both sides are going to gear themselves up for this match. And whilst everybody plays it a week at a time, I reckon these sides have had this at the back of their mind for some few weeks now.
And the Tigers next week will travel to the Gold Coast and play Adelaide up there on the Gold Coast. Saints forward again, and Snyder in the hunt here as Polo pushes towards the boundary line. Rants. And there's some pressure, and gee, almost would have been deliberate had Newman not got a hand on that from Polo. St Kilda attacking 50. McAvoy. Tambling wanting this side of the ground, was forced to kick the other side, and was pretty good in the end of Moore.
It's going to be interesting for a fellow like Sam Fisher, Hurdy, who I think has been tagged in probably the last 3 or 4 matches. He was a very high possession ball winner for the first 10 weeks of the year. I think the last couple he's been well down now. Against Geelong, they're not going to tag him. I think they're going to say, righto boys, what do you got? This is what we've got. We're going to throw it all out there and see how you go. And Fisher may jump from, I think he's got about a dozen possessions today. He may well get 25 next week, but whether or not that's enough is another question.
Well, he might also have a few goals kicked on him too, depending on who he plays on, because the way the ball comes into the Geelong forward line and the type of talent they got down there, the amount of ball that they're going to have to repel, will mean that it's not going to be all about possessions for Fisher and their back line. It's going to be about stopping the goals as well.
Not sure we're going to have I'm not sure, BT, this won't be the biggest build-up to a home and away game for some time.
Well, it's been building for a number of weeks already, Jared, and I'm in agreement with you there. Much anticipated game and much talked and hyped, and with good reason. 2 undefeated sides is a rare occurrence to round 14 in any season.
Interesting. Has it ever happened before?
Sure that it probably would have. Foley, beautiful ball, finds Jack Rewalt on the lead. Rewalt kicked the first goal of the game when the Tigers looked competitive in that first quarter. And he comes from a nice angle. On the way, didn't make great contact, and off to the right-hand side from Jack Rewalt.
Well, that's a tough kick when you're 50 metres out from goal, but that's an area he needs to improve. Just more consistency with his shots at goal. When they go through, when he hits them right, it looks like a very good kick, but today, particularly that first quarter, it just hasn't looked good enough.
That is just superb football from Goddard. He's hit up a bloke who's 70 metres away from the goal square.
There's Snyder. Had time to wipe his hands too, ball, in anticipation, waiting for that kick from Goddard.
And that was a bad play by Schneider. You talk about a midfielder coming down the ground, has to know when to release the ball. Kazitsky was free at the back of the play. There's a release zone, and often guys run too far when you don't have to run your full 15 if there's a pass on, a 50-metre pass. It does mess you around as a forward if the guy doesn't release it when he should.
Sylvester to Jackson. Claiming the mark. Fisher, he reckons he owns it.
It's probably a mark, I'd say, B2.
Yeah. 2 sets of hands, says umpire Michael Avon. There's Nahas through a bit of traffic, and Deledio on the outside of this. Dean Nichols pushed out of the way.
And then again, Jared, after that contest or that clearance, the only guys left standing still in the clearance was 4 Richmond players.
Oh, gee, Blake handed it straight to Rewalt on that occasion. I'm sure he got a call, but it went straight to him with no St Kilda player in sight.
That's how you get 2 and 3 possessions and help your team, is to burst out of that stoppage and re-involve yourself in the play. Richmond just aren't doing that the way St Kilda are.
Snyder comes for a spell. Said that St Kilda interchange bench just on the right-hand side. Here's Big McAvoy. Fury to Montagna. Loves to carry the ball through this corridor. Great kick to Graham. Rewalt presents early. A little too early. Fisher to Kazitsky. Good ball. And nice timing of the lead from Big Cozzy.
I think it was his third lead, BT. He'd led a couple of times to Graham when he had the ball, and then that third lead got him the space and got him the goal. And the best forwards in the competition, that's what they do, continuous leads to get the space in front of them.
Pretty close to the perimeter piping is Kazitsky, lining up for his 5th goal. Bit of angle about it and hooked it. Ugly.
Pretty important for Geelong that Harley's back into the side as we take a look at the handball at the other end of the ground from Jones Bloke.
I think he was expecting Goddard to come back into the field of play, and he was flat-footed near the piping. There's Edwards. And Moore. A good poiking ball out wide and finds Deledio.
Bad kick in the middle of the ground, and to turn it over in that position.
Here's Graham. A bit of tackle on him. And Polo able to mark. Now the Tigers, can they mount something from here? Tamlin's got Newman on out wide, finds him. Goes short to Vickery or longer to Cochin. He went even deeper to Angus Graham. Dawson got a hand in there. Blake. Jack Rewalt applying the tackle. And Cochin eventually got the leg loose and gave the don't argue on Jones, but forgot to take yellow pill with him.
Have St Kilda stopped, Jared? I mean, they haven't really increased their lead for the last, 15 minutes or so.
Well, they've had a couple of shots at goal that haven't gone through, which is one element. I think the pace has gone out of it a little bit. They've got a nighter next week. So some would be critical. I think they've just got the rack and the queue in the rack right now. And
which you can't be critical of. They've got the biggest game of the year this week. I know coaches wanting to drive the ascendancy home, but I'll be looking at next week now if I was out in the ground.
Well, coaches and players would tell us right now at this stage of the game, James, that they don't think about the next week's game. Now, you're a recently retired player. What would you be thinking right now?
I'd be thinking, make sure you don't get injured so you're right for next week. I mean, yeah, and if 22 players did that, well, you're obviously going to lose. But sometimes in a game, when you know the game's wrapped up, you make sure you preserve yourself for the next week.
Gardner on the phone there didn't really want to take the call, looking at his expression. There's Del Santo. A nice centering ball to Cozzy, who works his big frame in front. And Sylvester is going to have trouble getting a claw on that to punch it away. So Kazitsky will line up for his 5th goal from about 20 metres out with a tiny bit of angle about it. It's a good centering kick from Del Santo under pressure. And he really protects the space well, Cozzy.
I think of all the players Mark Thompson would be worried about, it would be Justin Kazitsky.
Kazitsky comes in. Just under 7 minutes remaining. He'll convert this, and he has. And he gets his 5th goal.
Look, I think, Jared, the only way to stop Kazitsky is to stop the supply. I mean, if you can stop the St.Kilda moving through the field easily and quickly, that's the way to stop Kazitsky, because he's too big and too strong if the ball's moved in a pretty good manner. Great kick by Del Santo, top of the square, allowed Kazitsky to get in front, and once he gets that big body in front and takes that dive, very hard to stop him.
So a 67-point St Kilda lead here. Richmond with just the 1 goal since the very early minutes of the first quarter have been largely non-competitive since the opening quarter. Cozzy going back deep to the Richmond cheer squad just to engage with them out of the middle.
Nice tap there from McAvoy, who's, he's playing for a spot in finals footy coming back.
There's Milne.
King, of course, will be back in the fray in a couple of weeks. Not sure how many he's now served with his suspension.
He's due back next week. He had 2 weeks.
And Ottens is also expected to be included next week.
Ottens? Is he really? They won't put him straight back in, Jared. He hasn't played all year, basically.
Well, Mark Thompson was of that view in Perth 7 days ago, so
really?
unless something's changed, there's every chance he's going straight back in.
I thought he only recently got back on the track and started to run in the last 10 days, but that would be a big, big inclusion. Obviously, we need to get games into him before the finals. I think he was that close, though.
I guess the other view, they may wish to see how Mumford and Blake go without Big Otto.
Well, if Ottens is ready to go, you've got to get some footy into him. I think he's probably picked before either of those guys. He's ready. Newman, tuck. Involved in this ball for the Tigers, working it to half forward. Here's an opportunity for Jack Rewalt. Pressured by Gilbert and just ever so slightly nudged under the ball. Cousins tried to keep it alive. You've seen Cousins' game today, James?
It hasn't been a great game by Ben Cousins. He started well, kicked the goal early, had a bit of the ball, but since the 10-minute mark, 15-minute mark of that first quarter, he's, what's he had possessions-wise? He's had 15 possessions, been thereabouts occasionally, but his effectiveness is not what we know of the best of Ben Cousins.
There's an opportunity for the Tigers. Morton, I'm sorry. Thought it was Rewalt, dribbled it through. Morton's got his second. And the Tigers back to a 61-point deficit.
Yeah, a smart goal by Morton, dribbling along the ground there, and a couple of goals this quarter by him. Just a couple of goals, not a bad effort in the last quarter, but you talk about Ben Cousins, and it's not just he in the midfield. Jared, they have got on paper, they've got a pretty good midfield, but Delidio, Newman, Foley's been pretty good in there, Jackson's been good, Tuck's been good, but they just need a little bit more from guys like Cochin, Delidio and Cousins through the middle of the ground.
Yeah, I think when you're getting a hard tag like Cousins is at the moment and your side's getting belted, it is pretty difficult to mass up a number of, a stack of possessions.
Yep.
There's a lot of guys out there with whose sole role is just to go and get the footy, and they've racked up some numbers, but a lot of them have just gone sideways as well.
Snyder with the ball, but
And that's where your teammates need to help you as well. I mean, the best teams, you watch Geelong when a player gets tagged, they've got guys continually hitting the tag or working him over. Even today with Jackson, the St Kilda players are working Jackson over, trying to get him off Montagna. And, you know, Jackson's done a very good job, but Montagna's still able to pick up 20 possessions throughout the game. The best sides look after their players getting tagged, and Richmond definitely haven't made Cousins' job any easier.
Geelong, West Coast, Adelaide and the Western Bulldogs is the St Kilda month ahead. And for the Tigers, their month looks like Adelaide and Gold Coast next week, Carlton, North Melbourne and the Bombers. On the wing, Rewalt to Tambling. And a good grab in the end. Now, he's got Vickery long and a one out, but elects to go across the goal to Hislop.
And good running by Hislop. He was in the middle of the ground and ran hard into the forward 50 to get that ball and create an option. And nice vision by Tambling. It's a nice mark here, Jared, one-hander.
Well, he's had a season that has shown a lot of promise. It's continued to get him better. This has probably been his worst game for some period of time, Richard Tambling, but he's got plenty of talent and he's a slow burner. He's continuing to improve.
Tom Hislop directly in front of goal, comes in and nails it. So Richmond have got 3 last quarter goals to just tidy things up ever so slightly. And they now trail by 56 points.
Well, it's a nice kick from Tommy Hislop. He's got a lot of work to do to, I think, convince those at Richmond that he's going to be a long-time senior player.
It's around about the margin, or maybe a little bit more than you would have expected coming into the game, Jared. But it's the way it's happened since quarter time that's the most disappointing part for Richmond. They were absolutely terrific in the first quarter. Their pressure, their run. It's 2 totally different sides from what we've seen up until quarter time till after quarter time. That's the worrying part for the Tigers. They can do it so well for a quarter of football, but then they drop away to really between quarter time and 3/4 time. It was a very ordinary performance. Yeah,
we highlighted in the second quarter, I think, work of Shane Edwards working for each other, and to me it was almost like an awakening of, gee, this is a different Richmond side. They're working for each other, but they haven't done that at all since that period of time. And what we're looking up here behind the ball, Hurdy, is they just don't work for each other. They work in their comfort zone, they work when the ball's around them, but once the ball's out of their area, that's it. And they did it in the first quarter, and that's what would be frustrating with their current coach, their former coaches. That it's capable, and if they do it, you can see the results as we did early in the match.
Foley, Rance, and Polo. They're combining. Newman will be the recipient here. Bit of a nonchalant give. Went through the legs, Jackson, and copped one down low. That's what you get for being a bit of a smarty pants. Jackson's kick smothered by Goddard.
Smarty Pants file is back.
Well, Jared, we needed a re-entry into the Smarty Pants file, but I reckon he's been one of the best on ground, Jackson. He's been battling against enormous odds, and he has been a fantastic player for the Tigers.
Sylvester with some manoeuvrability. Got it out to Moore. On the wing, the Tigers go forward with some fluency here. Hislop again can give it to the wheels of Delidio. Goes from a long way out and misses to the left. Have a look at this through the legs here from Daniel Jackson.
Yeah, well, it may well have been in the Smarty packs. He copped one in the families as well to go on with. But I was pointing to you out, Hurdy, that not only that, he got up and he ran past 2 of his teammates to try and get into the forward 50 to create another option.
No, he's a great athlete, Jackson, and also a great work rate. And I think that's why he's taken his game to another level this year and beaten so many terrific players with his tagging ability, but also got a lot of the ball on the transition as well. And he's a player who Richmond shows great leadership in the way he plays his footy and need to foster through his career.
Well done to avoid the tackle, Geary, as he gives it off to Graham and goes long to the big boys, Rewalt and Kosicki close by. Cozzy said it's mine. Moore had him wrapped up in a safe tackle. Thursfield tries to take Milne on. A dangerous thing to do. Snyder picks up the loose ball. Does not do the U-turn. Geary, handball, Blake involved. Now ball around the corner with a beautiful kick, and Dawson has taken the mark. And Zach Dawson has kicked a couple of goals this year, so this is not one of those, a very important one a few weeks back to win the game. for the Saints.
And he's got a massive role next week. If Max's ankle is out, he's going to have to hold that back line together and play another tall option for the Saints.
Zach Dawson from 45 in the closing minute of Twilight football has dragged it a little bit, and just the minor score. Rewalt comes to the bench. That'll be it for him for today, I think, Lee Colbert, would it not?
Absolutely, he's gone for the day. On ice, Rewalt as Del Sano comes back on.
I think Colby's work rate's dropped off a bit in the last quarter, Brian.
It has. He was looking very comfortable then, caught him without the microphone, and sometimes I reckon as a on-ground commentator you can give it away too early. And Graham elevates, couldn't get hold of the mark.
Nice work, Fisher.
Yep. Kick really controlled around the corner. So a 56-point lead in front of a crowd of 38,196 here today.
And if you're looking for positives out of the Tigers, the form of Rance this year, I think, despite the fact that he got that serious facial injury, it's been one to build on.
Saints are going to make it victory number 13 in a row. Fans are incredibly excited about the way St. Kilda's season